This is Wake Up and Lead, a daily podcast where ambitious young professionals learn to lead themselves. I'm your host, Hampton Dorsch. Today we're talking about fellowship. It's time to start dealing with your blind spots. Guys, as always, I'm really preaching to myself here. I'll start with a story. There's a guy who I'm now in a group with, really because of this story, who at one point in time I heard him tell me that his buddy gave him a call and he called him out. He said, "Hey, lately I've noticed when you talk about your faith, I don't hear you talking about it with the same level of zeal or confidence. And I just want to ask you about that." Wow. That's awesome. And I remember hearing that and my stomach kind of turned inside out because I thought about myself getting that feedback, hearing about this blind spot that I have. And for one, I said, wow, that might be hard, but it's also really good. And then two, I'm like, I don't know if I have that in my life. I'm married. And so Erica does a really good job of that. And then I have some like really close people in my life, but I often think that I put on a show. I think we all do that. We're all performing, and I may not be opening myself up to learn and grow and be aware of the blind spots that I have in my life as well as I could. So one, if you're listening to this right now and you know me and you're like, man, Hampton needs to know this, I'm giving you the freedom to lovingly share that with me, because even if it hurts in the moment, it will be good for me to know. But what have I done since hearing this story? I've been thinking about that for several months. And by the time this recording comes out, I unless something crazy happens, am in a group of other men where there's 5 of us, and it's our A team. I mean, you share everything in that group about your marriage, about your life, about your insecurities, about your fears. And we lovingly call each other to more. And that is going to be a group where if you see something in someone's life, like, you call it out. You call it out. And because of this guy, because of this story, he's in the group. And so I'm really excited to just be able to have that experience, because, guys, if we can't take feedback, one, if we don't think we have blind spots, if we don't think that we have things that we're struggling with that we can't see, then I think that we are foolish. But then if we avoid inviting people in our lives to speak into that, then you could go a lifetime not even knowing that you're making people feel a certain way, or you have this bad character trait or habit about you. And so the best way to learn and the best way to grow and the best way to learn to lead ourselves so that we can lead other people is to have people speaking into our blind spots. And so that makes me uncomfortable. My stomach's turning inside out as I say this, because you never want to get called out. But if with love, with trust, if you know the other person cares for you, which is why it's important to have that level of trust with other people. And that's found by knowing each other's stories, being vulnerable with each other, and really trusting each other. Then you can say, hey, I want to know from you. If you see something in me, call it out. That requires a massive amount of humility. And humility is not a character trait you can develop. It's a byproduct of spending time with God and realizing how small you are and how big He is. When you do that, you want to learn. You want to know about your blind spots. So join me this year in doing that. It's not easy, but invite people in your life to do that, and you won't regret it. It's time for you and me to wake up and lead.